When you look at the fights over energy today, they look almost identical to the battles that the country went through in the 1970s. Back then, in the aftermath of the first oil crisis, you had one camp that advocated what people called a hard energy path, fossil fuels, nuclear power, and another side that pushed for what they called a softer energy path, renewable energy, conservation. And they fought not just over the particular energy sources, but really about the role that energy played in society. Should we be centralized or should we be distributed? Should government be strong or should we be leaving things to the markets? And it built up over the course of the 70s. If you look at the 1980 election, where Jimmy Carter faced off against Ronald Reagan, energy was central in a lot of their battles, and it was used symbolically. David Stockman, who eventually was Ronald Reagan's budget director, talked about how the Carter Energy Plan was part of his 5-year plan, a term that was a reference to the Soviet Union. Ted Kennedy, running to Carter's left, talked about how all of his opponents weren't taking care of the people who had to pay money at the pump. They weren't taking care of consumers. All of the themes that you get today, the fights between people who want more supply and people who want to move to different technologies, each of those was around back then. The other big parallel to the 1970s is that the world was changing enormously. You had these big energy issues, but you also had the aftermath of the Vietnam War. You had the collapse of the global monetary system. You had a decade of stagflation where people didn't know how the economy would grow in the future. And so people were searching for solutions, and they were searching for things to blame. And the big changes in energy that coincided with that really came together to create an intense set of conflicts. And you have the same thing today. People don't know where the economy is heading. They don't know where the United States stands in the world. They're hearing about new environmental challenges. And so, without new ideas, people are grasping for old solutions and falling back into old fights.